The French officer raised his sword. A line of muskets came up. Their prisoner stood perfectly still, her hands tied behind her back. The soldiers expected her to beg. Instead, she stood taller. She looked them straight in the eye. Then, before the officer could speak, she gave the order herself. Fire. The muskets thundered. She was only in her 20s. A wife, a soldier, a commander, and one of the revolutionaries Napoleon Bonaparte believed had to die if France was ever going to reclaim Haiti. He was wrong, because Sanité Bélair's execution didn't end the revolution. It made her a symbol of it. Today, the world remembers names like Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and Henri Christophe. But the woman who fought beside them, who refused to kneel before Napoleon's empire, has been almost forgotten. So who was Sanité Bélair? How did an ordinary young woman become one of Haiti's revolutionary commanders? And what kind of person gives the order to execute herself? This is the story of Sanité Bélair. Long before Sanité Bélair stood before a French firing squad, she was born into the richest colony on earth. The French called it Saint-Domingue. Today, we know it as Haiti. Its sugar and coffee made France enormously wealthy, but that wealth was built on slavery. Nearly 500,000 enslaved Africans worked the plantations under brutal conditions. Many died within just a few years. They were treated as property, bought, sold, and replaced. Yet beneath the surface, the colony was changing. Many enslaved people had once been warriors, leaders, and skilled craftsmen before they were forced across the Atlantic. Slavery had stolen their freedom. It had not broken their spirit. Then, in 1789, France erupted into revolution. The cry of liberty, equality, fraternity reached the Caribbean. If liberty was a natural right, why were hundreds of thousands still living in chains? In August 1791, the answer came in flames. Plantations burned, thousands rose in revolt. What began as an uprising soon became the Haitian Revolution, a war that would change the course of history. Somewhere in that chaos, a young woman named Sanité Bélair made a choice. She would not wait for freedom. She would fight for it. Very little is known about Sanité Bélair before the revolution. She left behind no diary, no letters, no memoir. History remembers her through her actions. Born around 1781, likely near Veretz, Sanité came of age as Saint-Domingue descended into war. She chose the revolution. At some point during the conflict, she married Charles Bélair, a trusted officer under Toussaint Louverture. Together, they joined an army unlike any the world had ever seen. Formerly enslaved people, free people of color, and black officers fighting side by side for one goal: to protect the freedom they had won. Sanité refused to remain behind the lines. Contemporary records identify her as a sergeant, while Haitian tradition remembers her as a courageous commander who inspired those around her. She marched with her soldiers, shared their hunger, endured their hardships, and when battle came, she stood beside them. She didn't lead from safety. She led from the front. Against extraordinary odds, the revolutionaries defeated Spanish and British forces, and France abolished slavery in the colony. By 1801, it seemed the impossible had happened. Toussaint Louverture governed Saint-Domingue. Freedom finally felt secure. But across the Atlantic, Napoleon Bonaparte had other plans. He intended to reclaim France's richest colony, and if restoring French rule meant restoring slavery, he was willing to send an army across the ocean to do it. Soon, Sanité Bélair would face the greatest test of her life. In early 1802, the horizon disappeared behind sails. Napoleon Bonaparte had sent the largest military expedition ever to cross the Atlantic. More than 20,000 veteran French soldiers, warships, cannons, everything needed to crush the revolution. Their commander was General Charles Leclerc, Napoleon's own brother-in-law. Officially, the French claimed they had come to preserve peace. Many didn't believe them. Sanité certainly didn't. She had fought too hard for freedom to trust promises delivered at the end of a cannon. As French troops pushed inland, Sanité and Charles Bélair joined Toussaint Louverture's forces to stop them. The fighting was relentless. French columns advanced with disciplined infantry and artillery. The revolutionaries answered with ambushes, mountain warfare, and a knowledge of the land their enemy could never match. Unable to win quickly, Napoleon changed tactics. Leclerc offered peace, lay down your arms, keep your rank, keep your freedom. After years of war, many wanted to believe him. Even Toussaint Louverture agreed to retire. It looked as though the war was finally ending. It wasn't. French soldiers surrounded Toussaint's home. He was arrested, placed in chains, and shipped to a prison in France. He would never see Haiti again. Before leaving, he reportedly warned, "In overthrowing me, you have cut down only the trunk of the tree of liberty. It will spring up again by the roots, for they are numerous and deep." Napoleon thought he had ended the revolution. He had only removed its most famous leader. The roots were still alive, and one of them was Sanité Bélair. Toussaint's arrest destroyed any trust the revolutionaries still had in France. If Napoleon could betray the man who accepted peace, he could betray anyone. Sanité didn't hesitate. She returned to the mountains. She returned to the fight. Then word arrived from Guadeloupe. Napoleon had restored slavery there by force. The French promises had been a lie from the beginning. The war was no longer about politics, it was about freedom itself. Sanité marched beside her soldiers from camp to camp. She shared their hunger, their exhaustion, their danger. She wasn't simply following Charles, she had become a respected leader in her own right. The French knew the Belairs had to be stopped. Patrols searched villages, climbed mountain trails, questioned farmers, offered rewards for information. Week after week, the circle around them grew tighter. Still, Sanité refused to surrender. She refused to kneel, but no resistance can stay hidden forever. In the autumn of 1802, French forces finally caught the Belairs. After fierce fighting, Charles and Sanité were captured. Napoleon's commanders believed they had broken the rebellion. They ordered a public execution, a warning to anyone still dreaming of freedom. Instead, they were about to create a legend. Napoleon's commanders wanted these executions to send a message. Fear would succeed where armies had failed. Charles Bélair was brought out first. The French hoped his death would break his wife. Instead, she stood in silence. She didn't plead, she didn't look away. Moments later, Charles was dead. Now it was Sanité's turn. The officers ordered her to kneel. She refused. She had fought as a soldier. She would die as one. Again they ordered her down. Again she remained standing. Her hands were tied behind her back, but no rope could force her to bow. The square fell silent. The firing squad raised their muskets. The French officer lifted his sword. Sanité turned to face the soldiers. She looked directly into their eyes. Then, according to Haitian tradition, before the officer could speak, she gave the command herself. Fire. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the officer dropped his sword. The muskets thundered. Smoke swallowed the square. When it cleared, Sanité Bélair was dead. She was only about 21 years old. The French believed they had executed a revolutionary. Instead, they had created a martyr. Stories travel faster than armies. Within days, word of Sanité's execution spread across Saint-Domingue. People whispered about the young commander who refused to kneel, who faced a firing squad without fear, who, according to Haitian tradition, gave the order to fire herself. Whether every detail was remembered exactly no longer mattered. The story had become something larger, a symbol. Napoleon's commanders had hoped to terrify the revolution. Instead, they strengthened it. By then, the truth could no longer be hidden. Napoleon had already restored slavery in Guadeloupe. The promises made in Saint-Domingue had been nothing more than deception. The choice was now unmistakable. Fight or return to chains. Across the colony, resistance surged. Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Henri Christophe, Alexandre Pétion. Leaders who had once disagreed now fought together. Then another enemy turned against the French. Yellow fever. The disease tore through their camps, killing thousands, including General Charles Leclerc. Every week, Napoleon's army grew weaker. Every week, the revolution grew stronger. Sanité Bélair would never see an independent Haiti. But every revolutionary who kept fighting, every family that refused to surrender, and every soldier who chose to stand rather than kneel, carried her legacy forward. Napoleon believed a firing squad could silence her. Instead, her final command echoed across an entire revolution. By the end of 1802, Napoleon's invasion was collapsing. The French could capture towns, but they couldn't hold the countryside. Every road became an ambush, every mountain hid revolutionaries. Then yellow fever struck. The disease swept through French camps with terrifying speed. Healthy soldiers collapsed, veteran officers died within days. Even General Charles Leclerc, Napoleon's own brother-in-law, did not survive. His replacement, General Donatien de Rochambeau, answered with terror. Villages were burned, prisoners were executed, anyone suspected of helping the revolution risked death. But brutality achieved the opposite of what Napoleon wanted. It united the revolution. Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Henri Christophe, Alexandre Pétion, leaders who had once disagreed now fought for one purpose: drive the French from Haiti forever. The dream Sanité Bélair had died defending now belonged to an entire nation. Then came the decisive battle. November 18th, 1803, Vertières. French cannon thundered across the hills. Again and again, Haitian forces charged. Again and again, they refused to retreat. By the end of the day, the French army had been broken. Within weeks, Napoleon's surviving troops abandoned the colony. The greatest military expedition ever sent across the Atlantic had been defeated. On January 1st, 1804, Jean-Jacques Dessalines declared Haiti an independent nation. For the first time in history, formerly enslaved people had defeated one of Europe's greatest powers and founded the world's first free black republic. The victory stunned the world. It inspired freedom movements across the Americas. It shattered Napoleon's dream of rebuilding a French empire in the Caribbean. Without Saint-Domingue, that dream was over. But independence came at an enormous cost. The country lay devastated. Tens of thousands had died. Many of the revolution's greatest heroes never lived to see the nation they helped create. Toussaint Louverture died in a French prison. Charles Bélair died before a firing squad. And Sanité Bélair, the young commander who refused to kneel, never saw Haiti become free. She never heard the Declaration of Independence. She never celebrated victory. But every generation born into a free Haiti, every child who grew up beyond the reach of slavery, and every person inspired by the Haitian Revolution, inherited part of the future she fought to protect. Napoleon believed he could erase Sanité Bélair with a volley of musket fire. Instead, he helped make her unforgettable. The French buried Sanité Bélair. History almost buried her too. She left behind no memoir, no speeches, no letters. Most of what we know comes from military records, contemporary accounts, and the generations of Haitians who refused to let her story disappear. Today, the world remembers Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Henri Christophe. They deserve their place in history. But revolutions are never won by famous leaders alone. They're won by countless people whose names are almost forgotten. Sanité was one of them. She never fought to become famous. She fought so others could live free. Today, Haiti continues to honor her. Schools bear her name. Artists have painted her. Writers have celebrated her courage. And every generation that learns her story rescues another piece of history from being forgotten. Because remembering heroes isn't just about the past. It's about deciding whose courage deserves to inspire the future. The French believed they controlled Sanité Bélair's final moments. They tied her hands. They marched her before a firing squad. They believed they had taken away every choice she had left. But they were wrong. She still had one. According to Haitian tradition, she refused to kneel. She looked her executioners in the eye, and before they could command her death, she gave the command herself. Fire. Whether those were her exact words, or whether time transformed them into legend, the truth remains the same. Sanité Bélair chose courage over fear. Long before she stood before that firing squad, she had already made that choice. She chose freedom over safety, duty over comfort, resistance over surrender. More than 2 centuries later, one image still endures: a young revolutionary standing when everyone expected her to kneel. Perhaps that's why her story still matters. Most of us will never face a firing squad, but all of us will face moments when it's easier to stay silent, to look away, to kneel, Sanité Bélair's answer was simple. Stand. Napoleon Bonaparte believed that power came from armies, from warships, from cannons, from fear. Sanité Bélair proved otherwise. She commanded no empire. She wore no crown. She left behind no memoir. Yet more than 2 centuries later, the world still remembers the young revolutionary who refused to kneel. The French believed a firing squad would end her story. Instead, it ensured her courage would become part of Haiti's. Sanité never lived to see independence. She never watched the blue and red flag rise over a free nation. But every step toward that victory was built on people willing to stand when surrender would have been easier. People like her. Perhaps that's why her story still matters. Because history isn't changed by those who wait for the perfect moment. It's changed by ordinary people who choose courage when it matters most. And according to Haitian tradition, when Sanité Bélair faced that final moment, she made one last choice. She stood. If this is the first time you've heard the name Sanité Bélair, then this is exactly why Legends and Liberators exists. The Caribbean is filled with heroes whose stories deserve to be remembered, not only by the nations they fought for, but by the world. Every week we bring those forgotten stories back to life. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments which forgotten Caribbean heroes should we cover next. Because as long as we keep telling these stories, the people who fought for freedom will never truly be forgotten. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of Legends and Liberators.